I am Alicia Priest, a 24-year career educator, middle school Spanish teacher from Yukon, Oklahoma, and I serve as the president of the Oklahoma Education Association. I stand here today with classroom teachers, education support professionals from across the state, from Tulsa to Muskogee, Edmond, Claremore, Mustang, Manford, Shawnee, Ponca City, Chickasha, Stillwater, Tulsa Union, Healton, and Bartlesville. After years of doing more with less, of educating our students with out-of-date curriculum and no textbooks, after packing our classes with so many students that we can't possibly provide each one with the individual time and attention they need to have success. After seeing thousands of our colleagues leave the state for higher pay, after watching our critical support professionals who ensure our students are fed and safe, take on 2 and 3 extra jobs to make ends meet, after watching our students suffer and our legislature fail time and time again to do something about it, Oklahoma educators have reached a breaking point. We cannot, no, we will not allow our students to go without any longer. Our goal remains the same as it has for years, and today we demand that the legislature pass a budget with the necessary revenue to provide teachers and support professionals a significant pay raise and restore critical funding to our classrooms. The future of our students and our great state hang in the balance. April 1st is the deadline by which law is set for the legislature to present a budget for funding public education. We are simply calling on our legislators to follow the law. We want them to pass a budget that includes a meaningful pay raise for education support professionals, for teachers and state employees. We want them to pass a budget that turns around this decades of underfunding and budget cuts and begins reinvesting in our public schools and our essential state services. We are providing a spreadsheet that outlines these requests in more detail. Believe me, we want to be in our classrooms teaching our students. It's our passion. We love our students and we love helping them learn. We do not want to shut down schools and leave our classrooms to come to the Capitol, but we will. Today, we're putting lawmakers on notice. If by April 1st they have been unable to meet the terms we've laid out, then on April 2nd, the Oklahoma Education Association calls on every teacher, support professional, administrator to walk out of their schoolhouse and head to the State House. On April 2nd, schools across the state will begin to shut down. We know this movement is already making an impact because today we're hearing that the legislators are working on a $2,000 pay raise for teachers. Well, after 10 years without a state-funded pay raise, after waiting so long for additional compensation that we've fallen to 50th in the country for teacher pay, we say to the legislature, that's too little, too late. Today, we demand a $6,000 pay raise for this year, with additional compensation to follow in a total of $10,000 over 3 years. We cannot recruit Oklahoma's youth into the teaching profession unless they can hope to make a living wage. We cannot retain our excellent teachers when they can move to a state in any direction and make significantly more money. In addition, our teachers must have lower class sizes and have materials as simple as curriculum and copy paper to meet the needs of our students. We must have additional funds for schools' operational budgets. Furthermore, the legislature must acknowledge the urgent needs of education support professionals. Our students depend on bus drivers to get them to and from school safely. They depend on cafeteria workers to up to 2 meals a day. We wouldn't have functioning schools without our support professionals who keep our schools maintained and safe for our students. Our plan also includes state employees who play an integral part of the supports we receive at schools. the child in DHS custody, the child who needs mental health help, the child who is sick and relies on rural hospital care, those are our students. We are interconnected. To our teachers, support professionals, state employees, parents, and community members, I send this message. We are all in this together. We share the same goal. We want the legislature to make good on the broken promises of the past and finally invest in the future. Our children are worth it. Our state is worth it. If the legislature fails to act, I hope all Oklahomans will stand with us on April 2nd. Together, we can accomplish this for our students. Together, we are stronger. Let me reiterate. Anger and frustration in the education community is palpable. We have been preparing for years of legislative inaction, and we are ready to act. The OEA will continue to lead the way. There will be a flurry of activity going on across the state in the next month. Pledge card drives, community town hall meetings, school board resolutions, preparations to ensure the safety and well-being of our students. We will regularly update the public via social media and telephone town hall calls. Our goal is to fund education. Let me say that again. Our goal is to fund education. Our goal is not to shut down schools. This movement is bigger than the people in this room. The legislature has about 3 weeks to act and fund public education before April 1st. They have worked swiftly before. We've seen it. They can accomplish big things if they work together. Those are things we teach in kindergarten. The time is now for that to happen. We will accomplish this because together we're stronger. Now you're probably wondering where the funding will come from. We know there are a myriad of plans out there that can guide the legislature on how to get there. We also know of the specific revenue sources that are more popular than others and will impact working families the least. There's already been lively discussion about restoring the GPT to 7%, and there's a ballot measure that will do that if the legislature fails to act. In fact, Joe Warren with the Oklahoma Energy Producers Alliance will speak later. We know we need to reform our income tax structure. There is a bill going through Senate right now that eliminates the capital gains exemption. That's a tax that benefits only a few and has cost the state billions of dollars. We need to increase the cigarette tax. These are examples of the endless possibilities of where the legislature can find funding. The legislature puts out a lot of bills that tell us in public schools what to do and how to do it in our classrooms. And we are the experts in the room. So we're going to allow the legislature the deference to create the revenue package that will be required to pay for the needs of our students and schools that we are demanding today. So as we move on, I'm going to introduce different people to come and speak from their perspective, starting with Kim Morris, who is a pre-K teacher at Manford Early Childhood Center. Kim?
Hi, my name is Kim Morris, and I'm a 23-year elementary school teacher from Manford Early Childhood Center. I have taught first grade most of my teaching career, but this year I am teaching pre-K after our district had to go from 6 first grade teachers to 5. When I started my new assignment, I had to buy all of my own curriculum because my district couldn't afford to pay for the curriculum I was teaching. Most teachers in our pre-K create their own curriculum for their classrooms. My 4- and 5-year-old students have to learn in a school where half the lights are turned off through the day because our energy bills have increased so much with the increased cost of electricity. Our thermostats have been turned down to 63 degrees, so we're wearing our coats and jackets in our classroom. We have to stay bundled up to stay warm so that our school can save money. Our children should not have to go to school in the cold or the dark, but it is very unacceptable for them to have to do this, but it's necessary for our districts to conserve money. I love my students. I want them to be successful in spite of the temperature and the lights. I buy what I can afford out of my own pocket because I want to give them the best education that I can. I want to be there for them every single day. I live to get up and go to school for their hugs and their smiles and their aha moments. But I can't do this anymore. My family has financially suffered. My children have suffered because of the extra time I spend planning and getting ready for class. This is enough. I don't want to see the schools across Oklahoma shut down, but we've come to the point to where if the legislature will not do its job, I will walk. I will walk out for my kids. They are my kids. I have 23 years worth of kids in this state. They deserve better. All students in this state deserve better. Your children, your grandchildren, your future grandchildren, our future leaders deserve better. The legislature can give them better, should they choose to. They must do better to find the funds and fully fund our schools. The future of our state depends on it. Our entire future depends on it. Thank you.
It's one example of the dedication of teachers in the state of Oklahoma. Next, President of the Oklahoma PTA, Etta Taylor.
Good afternoon. As you said, I'm Etta Taylor, President of Oklahoma PTA. Our members across the state are very active in their local schools. Daily, they see the struggles of our teachers, support professionals, and administrators to provide the best education possible for our children. We see the students with access to only a classroom set of tattered textbooks, not able to take them home to complete homework assignments. We work with teachers who are allowed to only make 30 photocopies a week because that's as many pieces of paper that the district can afford. We see the frustration and disappointment in our teachers' faces at the end of each long day, and yet we are also inspired by the way they show up every morning with a smile and a renewed determination to help our students be the best selves that they can be. Most difficult, we see too many great teachers say goodbye to Oklahoma and drive across our borders in any direction and make $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 more. Even sadder, we see too many teachers leave the profession because they don't make enough money to take care of their own families. These are the reasons that Oklahoma parents will be standing with our teachers and support professionals. If we must close schools to get the legislators to do their job, then we must. There have been way too many empty promises made. We cannot wait any longer. We must fund education now.
Our next speaker is Alberto Morgan. He is a teacher from Stillwater Public Schools. He's the administrator of the Facebook group, Oklahoma Teachers Walkout. The time is now. Alberto?
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Alberto Morgan. I'm the creator of the Facebook group, Oklahoma Teacher Walkout. The time is now. About a week ago, I was sitting on my couch watching TV, and I noticed the strike that was taking place in West Virginia. Along with the current frustrations of many teachers I talked to, I decided that something needed to be done. A week later, my group currently has over 60,000 members. The point of my group was to start discussion about what options we have moving forward, and to also be a place where people could get trusted information. The whole point of what we're doing is to restore funding to public education in Oklahoma. Right now, we have over 2,000 emergency certifications of teachers in the state with no degree in education. Last time I checked, no one in this room would go to a doctor, a lawyer, or even a plumber that has an emergency certification in their craft. Yet today, our legislators seem to think that it is okay to have over 2,000 people with a degree in education, or without a degree in education, teaching the future of our state. I want to thank everyone for their support. This is only the beginning of an incredible movement, and the time is now.
All right. Reverend Clark Fraley, lead pastor at Coffee Creek Church and co-founder of Pastors for Oklahoma Kids.
Pastors for Oklahoma Kids advocates for Oklahoma's 700,000 children in public schools. We have a saying that you cannot put kids first if you put teachers last. Unfortunately, how we compensate our teachers right now speaks to our values and what we value most. Jesus taught us that where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. What does it say about our values when our teacher pay is the lowest in the nation? Pastors across Oklahoma are witnessing what's happening in our communities, and what we're seeing is very troubling. We're seeing class sizes growing out of control. We're seeing the acceleration of teacher turnover and new faces all the time, and not enough time for mentorship to occur. We're seeing nearly 2,000 emergency certifications, and we still can't fill all of the needs. What that means in the real world to us on the ground level is we're seeing dangerous things happening in class sizes that are overcrowded. And we're seeing kids falling through the cracks because we don't have enough qualified teachers to take care of them. We're losing teachers to other states, and it's unfortunate, and it needs to stop. I want to say something to the support staff out there. I know so many times, support staff, you think that you work and no one sees what you're doing. And I just want to say really clearly that we see you. We see you opening that door and spending the extra time. I've seen it myself. A bus driver that could just take off, that watches and makes sure that little one gets to the door. We see you feeding our kids. We see you securing the school so it's a safe place. We see you helping that child into that wheelchair. Support staff, we see you. And we say to you, your work is worthy. You know, the Bible's really clear that the worker is worthy of his wages. And yet, here we stand today telling you the same thing over and over, many of us saying, it's been a decade. It's been a decade for our support staff and our teachers, and even you heard state employees. There are long-lasting effects that this causes. I talked just yesterday to a teacher from Creek County, and that's where I grew up. And she was telling me she has 2 kids, and she's a single mom, and sometimes has difficulty making it to the end of the month, so much so that her parents have to help her out to try to make it. But when I talked to her about the problems in education and the solutions, she didn't talk about herself and wanting salary. She said, I really hope that we can get our class sizes down so I can love on those kids and get one-on-one attention. I really hope that we can stop the turnover so that we can have a teaching team that I work with. And I just thought, wow, how unselfish is that for her to say those kind of things in the midst of all that's going on. And that's the reality. Oklahomans, we know the character of our teachers. We know the character and the determination and the grit of our teachers. We know that they have a unique calling, and that calling causes them to do things and to be brave on behalf of our children. I'm not unaware, most of you aren't, that we're coming up on the 5th anniversary of the tornado in Moore. And those images burned into my mind of those teachers bloodied and bruised, walking out, carrying children to safety. And then when the rescuers are pulling off all that stuff and they find underneath the rubble a teacher using her own body to shield those kids, that's an Oklahoma teacher. And that's the kind of people that we know are in our schools right now and today. Obviously, our educators did not come to the decisions they've made and they're telling you about today lightly. And they wouldn't do it if it wasn't for standing up and being brave for their kids. And they're doing that to help our children. I have an important message for our educators. I want you to know that over the last 48 hours, our organization has been inundated with messages from churches and community organizations saying, how can we help? How can we stand beside our teachers and our kids in public schools? And it's been really refreshing to see that, and also a little bit scary because there's so many from different parts of our state, to be honest with you. What that means to me is that you're not in this alone, that we love you, that we're praying for you, and that we are with you, and we will stand with you in this. In Luke 18, I think it tells us what we should be doing this time. We're taught a really simple message there. Jesus teaches his disciples to pray and to never give up. That's right. There's a story there contained where there's this character called the persistent widow. And she goes back time and time again to a government official who's not listening to her. It's called a judge, and he won't hear. But she goes back so many times over and over, and she has one simple thing she says. She says, grant me justice. So my ask is, may we grant our students justice. May we stick together and get the message out there that we have support staff that are worthy, that our teachers are worthy. May we restore public education funding in the state of Oklahoma to the end that we will be able to have a state that is doing better and brighter than ever before. So thank you. May God bless you, and may God bless Oklahoma.
Next is Joe Warren, Oklahoma oil producer and board member for the Oklahoma Energy Producers Alliance.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe Warren. I'm a board member and legislative committee chairman for Oklahoma Energy Producers Alliance. Our members, like me, are small, independent oil and gas producers who live, work, and raise their children in communities all across the state of Oklahoma. And we're here today, quite simply, just to show that we stand 100% in support of the teachers of the state of Oklahoma in all of their efforts to obtain the living wage that will allow them to remain in Oklahoma doing the important job that they love, which is educating our children and our grandchildren in my case. OEPA is a founding member of the Restore Oklahoma Now coalition, and we remain committed to the state question initiative petition for question 795. That question is currently going through the legal and signature gathering process, and it promises to give meaningful change to the funding for teacher pay, and it also promises to give us a very good start to the restoration of funding for public education in the state of Oklahoma. And we support all efforts to further those goals. So we wish the teachers Godspeed in a mission that will be difficult and I'm sure in many cases painful for them. Good luck to you. Thank you.
Sterling Zerly, Executive Director, Oklahoma Public Employees Association. Sterling?
Thank you for this opportunity to speak here. I'm going to give you a kind of interesting perspective before I start going into my notes. I worked as a state employee for 23 years, and I've had the unique perspective. Also, my wife has been a counselor in a public school system for over 17 years. So it's interesting in the conversations we have because I see how she has to deal with these situations daily and what services from the state of Oklahoma she has to access. And I just wanted to, today I'm going to speak about state employees on their behalf. I want to let you know that's kind of an interesting perspective that I do have that a lot of people may not have. More than 34,000 state agency employees, just like our colleagues in public education, have experienced years of insufficient pay and inadequate funding for the vital important services they provide. We have advocated inside and outside the Capitol for increased revenue, pay raises, and agency funding for years, but nothing has changed. We're here today speaking on behalf of Oklahoma State employees who, like teachers, are underpaid, overworked, and beyond frustrated. State employees understand the importance of a strong public education system. To the teachers who are taking action, know that state employees stand with you 100%. We feel the same frustration about our state's lack of commitment, and we're all in this together. Frankly, state employees are sick of the disrespect shown to them and teachers by some elected officials who have neglected state employee pay and teacher pay. State employees insist that lawmakers fund a $71 million state employee pay increase this year and also a $71 million state employee increase in fiscal year 2020 and 2021. We insist the funding and staff cuts that agencies be made whole during the past years to be restored. State employees and their agencies have been in crisis mode for too long, and we must invest in them so they can carry out and serve our community properly. State agency services and public schools are intertwined in providing services to our communities. Many Oklahoma families rely on state agency service net services that help provide students food, shelter, health care that meets their physical or behavioral health needs. Other social services keep students safe or help guide them through to make better choices. The cities and towns that they live in also rely on these services that we provide. When students' access to those services is limited, they will struggle in the classroom. When students achieve academically, the need for these services will be reduced. Strong state services and strong public schools contribute to the success in Oklahoma cities and communities. We all have our best public education. We will have our best public education system when we adequately fund our schools and state agencies and improve the compensation of both state employees and teachers. We've come to the point because the state leaders have failed to do their job. They failed to secure revenue to fund services or provide pay raises for teachers and state employees. We will stand with educators until the day the lawmakers fix this mess and increase our pay and sufficiently fund all services. The OPA Board of Directors will meet Saturday with our legal counsel to assess what options are available to state employees. State employees have realized that bold action is now necessary, and our members are urging OPA to take action, and we will do so. The only way this is going to change, you look out that door and you see the Capitol, two things are going to have to happen. They're either going to have to fix it or they're going to vote people in who will, period. That's your two options. So thank you very much for allowing us to be here today.
Thank you, Sterling. Our next speaker is Superintendent Chuck McCauley of Bartlesville Public Schools. Superintendent.
Thank you. I'm very blessed to serve our students, our parents, our teachers, and our community in Bartlesville. Like many communities across this great state, they support our schools. Our community has truly stepped up and demonstrated that. In August of 2016, they overwhelmingly voted to raise their property taxes to help our schools. We identified expenses in our general fund that could be legally paid for out of bond funds. So they voted for that, to raise their property taxes to support our schools. We calculated that we could save up to 15 teaching positions if we were able to do that. We are very blessed to have Phillips 66, ConocoPhillips, Trudy Credit Union. These folks have done unbelievable, Arvest Bank, unbelievable support to our schools, our public school foundation. However, our issue is, our biggest challenge, our biggest threat is the teacher shortage. I spoke last summer, I was quoted in our local newspaper when I was asked a question at a forum, a Washington County Superintendent Forum, what's your biggest threat? And that's easy. Our biggest threat is the teacher shortage. We all have many examples of that. I talked to you about some of that strong community support that we have. Those funds can't be used for salaries. Those funds are used for specific purposes. So we are truly hamstrung on teacher salaries. We have currently in Bartlesville, with that strong support, we have 12 teachers that have emergency certifications just so that we can have school. I shared that information last summer. I shared last summer in our local newspaper, it was on the front page, that our teachers are at the tipping point. They're at this point. They're ready to walk out the door. This happened in 1990, and this could happen again. We were talking about this last summer at our school. We talked about it in September at a school board meeting, that this is happening. Of course, at that point, we're in the middle of, we're starting whichever special session we happen to be in at that time, and we're very hopeful, very hopeful, very hopeful that this would come through with a meaningful raise for our teachers. And we're still hopeful that this can happen. After the step-up plan failed, I believe that was on February 12th, on Monday, February 12th, I was at the Capitol with a group of teachers myself. Like many, was very disappointed that that plan failed. We immediately, at that time, after that plan failed, I knew that I had an upcoming school board meeting that we had on February 19th. We had over 500 people attend. We had 335 guests sign in. We had over 35 minutes of public comment. All of those urging us to support our teachers. All of them urging to do whatever we could to support our teachers, to have higher quality teachers in the classroom. We decided that this extreme step that we have talked about before, this might be coming. Teachers are talking to us, parents are talking to us, they are fed up. So we had another meeting last Wednesday. We had a second meeting. We moved it to our community center. We opened it up to the public, hoping someone had a better idea. I'm still waiting for that idea. What happened at that time, we had over 500 people attend the meeting. We have yet to have anyone step up with a better idea. The only ideas that I have heard from that, one was to, the economy is improving, you can wait until economy is improved. That was one option. The only other option that I've heard was to wait on a state question that might come through that might help us. This is fiscal year 18. If there's a state question in this fall, that the earliest that's going to help us is fiscal year 20. That's too late, folks. Our teachers are ready. They're tired. We can do better, and the time is now. We look forward to hearing. The options that the Oklahoma Education Association is working to provide. I know locally in Bartlesville, because like I said, we've been talking about this might be an option for us. We've developed our own idea with funding sources of ways to get there. But frankly, and I'm confident, our legislators have been close. I'm not sure why I'm confident, but they can do this. I really believe this. They can do this. They can. They've been close, and I recognize it's a high hurdle to cross, but they can do this if they will just work together. They can start right now, work together. I want to be in school on April 2nd. That's where I want to be, and I hope that we will be. Thank you.
I know why you're optimistic, because we are too. We taught them better. We taught them better. So I would like for Vicki Vaughn to come up here with me. Ms. Vaughn was my middle school math teacher. And she's been in it a long time. She has taught so many children over the years. She had me in the mid-'80s, right? So she's one reason why I am the teacher and the leader that I am today. So I wanted you to be with me up here. We have other teachers that are standing with us that are our board members, and they stepped out of their schoolrooms and their other duties as education support professionals to come stand in solidarity today. We have teachers and support professionals that are in the audience. I would like for you to come stand with us now. We also have retired educators that are with us that know that our future depends on a pipeline of students to teachers and support professionals to retired folks. We're all in this together. Thank you for being here, and I'll take a few of your questions.
How much wiggle room is around those numbers? I mean, are they negotiable at all? If the legislature came back and did meet, or is this?
This is what we're asking for. Our teachers deserve nothing less.
Alicia, the legislature went through 2 special sessions, 1 concurrent session, still did not reach any type of agreement on any type of tax increase at all. To my knowledge, in the history of the legislature, they've never passed an on-time education budget April 1st. What makes you think in the next month they're going to be able to do this?
They have incentive, because nobody in the state of Oklahoma wants schools to fail, want children to not be educated to the potential that Oklahoma has to educate them. And we have how many teachers in the state of Oklahoma? They have that many in incentive, 40,000 teachers in the state of Oklahoma. They have that kind of incentive that is going to be putting pressure along with community members. And we have 700,000 students in the state of Oklahoma are depending on them to work together to fund their schools.
The president of the Senate doesn't think that a $10,000 pay raise is realistic. What is your response?
They have time to get to 10,000. We are asking for 6,000 the first year, and then 2,000, 2,000. If they put in growth revenue, they absolutely can do it. They just have to have the will and the fortitude to make it happen.
What's growth revenue?
Growth revenue would be revenue that, are you asking me serious, like what it is, or examples for it? Because I want to know.
Examples for it, yeah. What would mean examples?
So income tax reform, gross production tax, those are all types of potential growth revenue. You know, there have been several plans put out there, the SOS Budget Blueprint, Step Up, Restore Oklahoma Now, the A+. There are all kinds of blueprints out there that give ideas of where the legislature can go for this money.
There are some people out there that are confused on social media that worry that their kids are going to have to stay in school longer because if you guys end up walking out. What is the actual clarification? Are you using the snow day for this, or what is the deal?
That will be up to individual districts. If districts close, it will be like using their bad weather days. and if need be, they'll make it up if we're out longer than however many bad weather days they have put in. But what our parents should worry about more is their children not getting a quality public education because our legislature hasn't funded it.
Some teachers out there who are saying maybe this walkout or this way of trying to get things done is counterproductive and taking teachers out of the classroom. What would your response be to that?
I think I responded to that in the first. It is worse to have underfunded schools where the children don't have the supplies and materials and the qualified educators and the supports through paraprofessionals and other support professionals that make a quality school.
Alicia, you're saying a $6,000 raise is something they can obtain, but you're also adding on to your raises for state workers. You're adding on to it, bringing back $200 million restoration fund. I mean, by the time we're done, we're getting pretty close to $1 billion here. They've got to meet. They couldn't pass the $800 million. I know I asked you before, but I don't know. I try to be half.
Where there's a will, there's a way. And we're going to give them the will to do that. We're all voters, and we are watching what's going on.
To do that, you'll need a will from both parties. That would be 76 votes. Historically, the OEA and teachers have probably supported Democrats a little more. In November.
Let me stop you for just a second, because education is not about partisan politics. Education is about kids. At politics, we don't like to interrupt.
No, you're good. I would have said raise your hand, but that would have been. But you know, traditionally, I guess that may be a perspective, and certainly you need everybody. My point. In November, Plan A Plus, Democrats had a higher percentage of people who voted in favor. In February, Step Up Oklahoma, Republicans had a higher percentage. There seem to be groups in both parties and perhaps reasons in both parties that they don't want to come to the table for one thing or another. How do you craft your message so that both groups respond? Does that make sense?
This is about kids. This is about economic development in Oklahoma. When we invest in public education, we invest in the future of our state.
Sure, but I mean, so we have a primary election coming up where a lot of Republicans may be challenged on the right in a party that doesn't love tax increases.
No, I don't care, right, left, center. This is about kids. That's right. We have to do the right thing for the children of Oklahoma.
Just to be clear, schools will stay closed until you get what you want?
Schools will stay closed until we get what we are asking for, yes.
Has there already been pushback or criticism? I mean, payback and retribution are the name of the game in politics. You've already had threats or pushback or criticism of what you're asking for today.
As Pastor Fraley said, they have had an overwhelming amount of support saying we are going to make sure that our kids have what they need for safety and for food, and we're willing to step up. That's the kind of Oklahoma I live in.
Sterling, you had mentioned that y'all are going to be meeting on Saturday. Are you suggesting a possible state worker walkout to coincide with this?
We're looking at every option. And we have some kind of stipulations a little different than the teachers do, but we're looking at every option. And we're going to support their efforts, regardless of what that looks like. State employees and our association is going to support them 100%. And as far as I'm concerned, if we could walk out, absolutely. Don't know if we're going to do that yet or not, but we look at our legal staff. Because I was a state employee 23 years, been doing this job 11. This is ridiculous. I don't get this. It's not that hard. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. It's not that hard. You know, you give all these giveaways away to these corporate folks, and you don't take care of your support in the state of Oklahoma with state employees and teachers, and it's frustrating. I mean, it's beyond frustrating. Excuse me if I slip out. Sometimes that Southeast Oklahoma twang comes out, and something else with it. But anyway, and you know, because I love teachers. I went through the public education system. Like I said, my wife's been a counselor for the public education system for over 17 years. So I have a unique perspective. I actually served on the school board in a town that I lived in. So I have a great perspective and a great love for teachers, and I know what they do.
So let me just clarify that.
Yeah.
Will you be talking about that on Saturday?
Absolutely. We're going to look at every option. We have our board meeting on Saturday, and we have our attorney going to be there. I've already asked him what can we do legally, and we will have some sort of announcement what we do with our state employees coming probably in a few days.
So we know where you stand as far as wanting to preserve and enhance the education for our students, as far as for our current teachers. What would your message be to people who are in school in Oklahoma right now who want to be teachers, and they're looking at all of this and they're just overwhelmed, it's so daunting to them, but you're really going to bat for them? What would your message be for them?
Stay the course. There is no better profession than one in public education. I love my job. I love teaching the kids. These people up here are all here for that same reason. It's our passion, and it is worth it. Our kids are worth it. And you can see from up here we have a broad-based coalition from administrators to support to certified teachers, PTA, public employees, pastors, oil and gas, all of us working together for the future of our state, and it takes broad-based coalition. Ed Allen, come on up. Ed Allen is with the AFT. We are the OEA. It's all of us. It's all of us working together. We have grassroots movement with Alberto. He's got 60,000 people on his Facebook page. We are all pulling the boat the same direction. Thank you very much. We also have these pledge cards that we're going to be getting out to folks to pledge to support public education. That includes getting pledge cards out to our lawmakers. They can pledge right now to support public education and support what we're doing, and we would love to see these cards all over the Capitol. Thank you.